There is a quiet illusion that many people believe for years. It is the idea that life will begin later. Later when the timing feels right. Later when confidence arrives. Later when circumstances become perfect. People say things like, "One day I will start. One day I will write that book. One day I will improve my health. One day I will pursue that dream." But the truth is much simpler than most people realize. The future does not begin someday. It begins today. Right now, at this moment, your life is quietly moving forward. Time is not waiting for the perfect plan or the perfect mood. It moves steadily, whether you act or remain still. And every small decision you make today becomes a building block for tomorrow. Imagine a man sitting alone in a small apartment late at night. His laptop is open, but he is not working. Instead, he scrolls endlessly through videos and messages. He tells himself that tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow he will wake up early. Tomorrow he will begin learning something new. Tomorrow he will focus. But tomorrow arrives and the pattern repeats. It is not that he lacks ambition. Inside his mind lives a clear picture of the person he wants to become. But that picture feels distant, almost like a dream that belongs to someone else. This quiet distance between intention and action is where many people spend years of their lives. The strange part is that the distance is often created by something very small. The belief that there is always another day. But life does not change in giant, dramatic moments. It changes through ordinary days repeated many times. A single day may seem insignificant, but one day becomes a week. A week becomes a month. A month becomes a year. And suddenly people wonder how so much time passed. Now imagine another person in a similar situation. She also dreams about improving her life. She also has doubts and fears, but she makes one small decision that changes everything. She begins today. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just honestly. Her first step is small. She wakes up 15 minutes earlier and reads something that teaches her a new idea. The next day, she writes a few thoughts in a notebook. Later, she decides to practice a skill for half an hour after work. At first, these actions feel almost invisible. No one applauds, no one notices. But something important begins happening inside her mind. She is no longer waiting. She is building. The difference between waiting and building is enormous. Waiting feels passive, building feels active. Waiting hopes the future will improve on its own. Building creates improvement step by step. Many people imagine that successful lives appear suddenly. They see the result, but not the quiet days that came before it. They see the finished building, but not the thousands of bricks placed one by one. Every meaningful future begins with ordinary actions repeated consistently. Consider a simple example. A person decides to walk for 20 minutes every day. At first, the change feels small, but after a month, their energy improves. After several months, their health becomes stronger. Over years, the habit transforms their physical condition. The future they experienced did not appear suddenly. It grew from daily decisions. This same principle applies to learning, relationships, finances, creativity, and personal growth. Every area of life responds to the same quiet law. Small actions repeated consistently shape the future. The difficulty is not understanding this idea. The difficulty is believing that today matters enough. Many people underestimate the power of a single day. They think progress requires dramatic effort. But progress is usually the result of consistency rather than intensity. Think about a garden. If someone plants a seed and expects a tree the next day, they will feel disappointed. Growth takes time. But if they water the plant every day, the transformation becomes visible over weeks and months. Your future works the same way. Each action you take today is like watering a seed. Some seeds grow quickly. Others grow slowly. But every action contributes to the direction of your life. There is also another reason people delay change. Fear. Fear whispers questions into the mind. What if I fail? What if I am not good enough? What if the effort is wasted? These thoughts feel convincing, but something interesting happens when you begin anyway. Fear becomes smaller. Action weakens doubt. A man named Daniel once dreamed of starting his own small business. For years, he told himself he needed more knowledge, more confidence, more preparation. But one day, he asked himself a simple question. What if I begin learning today? He spent 1 hour researching the industry he was interested in. The next day, he studied again. Slowly, he gathered information. Months later, he started a small project. The project was not perfect, but it was real. His future did not begin when the business became successful. It began the day he decided to start learning. Often the hardest moment is the beginning. Starting feels uncomfortable because the mind prefers familiar patterns. Even if the pattern leads to frustration, it still feels predictable. Change requires stepping into uncertainty. But uncertainty is also where growth lives. Think about learning a new language. At first, every word feels difficult. Conversations seem impossible. But with daily practice, sentences begin forming naturally. The future version of you who speaks that language begins with the first awkward attempt today. The same idea applies to almost every goal. A writer begins with a single paragraph. A musician begins with a few notes. An athlete begins with the first training session. None of these beginnings look impressive, but they contain the seed of a different future. There is something powerful about accepting that the present moment holds real influence. It removes the illusion that life will improve automatically later. Instead, it invites responsibility. Responsibility may sound heavy, but it is actually empowering. It means you are not powerless. Even small choices matter. Imagine waking up in the morning and asking yourself one simple question. What small action today will help my future self? The answer might be simple. Studying for 30 minutes. Taking a walk. Practicing a skill. Saving a small amount of money. Calling someone you care about. None of these actions seem dramatic, but they all contribute to a future that feels stronger and more stable. Another powerful idea is that the future version of you is shaped by your habits. Habits are repeated behaviors that slowly become automatic. If someone spends years practicing positive habits, their future becomes very different from someone who repeatedly delays action. The habits you practice today quietly decide what tomorrow looks like. There is a moment that many people experience later in life. They look back and wonder where time went. They remember plans they once had. They remember ideas they never pursued. Regret often comes from moments that felt too small to matter. Moments when someone said, "I will start later." But there is also another kind of reflection. A person looks back and realizes that their life improved step by step because they began early. They did not wait for perfect timing. They used ordinary days to move forward. The beautiful thing about this idea is that today is always available. No matter how yesterday looked. Even if the past contains mistakes, delays, or missed opportunities, today offers a new starting point. Every sunrise carries quiet potential. Not because it guarantees success, but because it offers the chance to take a step. Progress rarely arrives through dramatic leaps. It arrives through repeated steps. One step today, another step tomorrow, another step the next day. Over time, those steps create a path. And one day you look around and realize you have traveled much farther than you expected. Your future is not hidden somewhere in the distance, waiting for the right moment. It is being constructed quietly through what you choose to do now. The books you read, the skills you practice, the habits you build, the conversations you have, the courage you show in small situations. All of these choices accumulate. Imagine meeting your future self 10 years from now. That version of you would probably say something simple. Thank you for starting earlier. Not because every day was perfect, but because the effort began. If you want to shape a better future, you do not need a dramatic transformation overnight. You need a simple decision. Begin today. Take one step. Learn one thing. Improve one habit. Help one person. And repeat that process tomorrow. Because the truth is both simple and powerful. Your future begins with today. And every step you take right now is quietly guiding the direction of your life. If this message resonates with you, pause for a moment after this video and think about one small action you can take today. Do not wait for motivation. Just begin. Your future self will thank you for it.